with all this rain, I thought, well, let's see what happens to this lawn. I went out there and it was like I hadn't been out there in 10 years, but yes, it was super fun.
Yeah, I'm having my children cut the grass today.
Oh my gosh.
Weekend, so
could you send them over here?
I forgot, I didn't get that memo, so I forgot to offer. I'm sure they would be thrilled with that.
I know they would be too. I'm sure there's more things they can find to do over here. So yes, yes, please. Well, ladies, we'd like to welcome you to our launch of the one and only Doc and Queenie. We're thrilled to be with you today, and I would love to introduce the one and only Rev Doc 7, Laura Christine is in the house. Tell us about you, Doc.
Oh, thank you, Queenie. Well, on a little personal note, I'm obviously, like you said, Laura Christine. I have been married it'll be 31 years this year.
Woo!
To a wonderful man by the name of Jim Christine. And we have 3 great kids. And we've been here in Kansas City for about 26 years. Actually, I was thinking about that today. We came to Kansas City from Chicago and fell in love with Kansas City and never left. So, but yeah, that's a little bit of my personal. I'm the owner creator of Beyond Basic Health, which is a naturopathic wellness company. And what that basically means is I put together my experience, which I've got a lot of experience out in the field with helping people in therapeutic ways from a natural perspective. I'm educated in traditional naturopathy, which basically is a fancy word for saying natural medicine. And I help and strengthen people and support people through the body, soul, spirit viewpoint. So that's kind of my background a little bit. It's just a little teaser, but I'm all about health. So that's Beyond Basic Health, Laura Christine, Doc of Doc and Queenie. So to flip it, I am honored to introduce Queenie, or Kathy Weaver, my partner in this new adventure. Tell us about yourself, Queenie.
That was very cute how you did the flip there, Doc, because I wasn't quite through with the naturopathic medicine piece. One of the first things that you shared with me is what your family calls your natural remedies.
You mean the dog spit and tree bark thing?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, when I first met your kids, it was one of those things, this is what mom does to us.
Yeah. I'm always experimenting. I probably shouldn't say that, but yeah. It's here, try this, here, try that. But yes,
it's very nice to have a healthy family, and you're a great example of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You really are. The other thing is, I'm Kathy Weaver, the other half of the Doc and Queenie part. And the reason that we're here today is literally to lift each other up, absolutely, but also the ladies who are watching either live or on the replay, because we have found over this incredible, very fast year that we have known each other, that ladies are hesitant or trepidatious at best to do the friendship thing. And so I actually remember, thanks to Facebook, we have a picture to show it. I actually remember the first day you walked into one of the networking groups that I help with, and this is No Excuses Networking.
Oh, wow.
I know, and July 25th, actually, of 2019, you walked in with your Beyond Basic Health message, basically to promote wellness throughout the planet. And I was so intrigued by your faith, certainly, and your confidence. And that was super fun for me to see you in action. So you remember?
Thank you. I actually do, because the gal that I came with asked me 4 or 5 times, and I was scared to death.
Yeah, well, take a look. We're a very scary group.
Yeah, you guys look really scary. I look at that and I see friends now. But yeah, back then it was kind of scary. Kind of, I was taking a step into a new, I was transitioning to a new part of my life. And yeah, I, haven't turned back, and it's been fun. And, friendships, I mean, it's been unbelievable. And the best part is I got to meet you.
Well, you're very kind. And but I remember that day like it was yesterday, honestly. And this has been a very, very fast year. And I see, I've been networking a while, and full-time for 12 years, actually, which I can't believe it, 13 now, that I can't believe it has gone this fast. I have 2 adorable kids and 4 adorable granddarlings, and daughters in love to go with it. So it's kind of a icing on the cake for me. And it is super fun to network full-time, certainly for my Kangen water business. That is literally how I attribute the goals being achieved and different things like that. But again, I couldn't believe the people, I still can't believe the people that we've met by networking. And as you walked in, there was just something about you that I thought, what's up with this girl?
It was a
So,
hanger.
yeah, yeah, yes. But it really was awesome to learn so much about you and to get to, we had several friends in common, which I think was cool.
Yes, yes, we do. We do. And likewise, it first meeting you, I was very intimidated, I'm being transparent because this was a new area that,
Scary.
yeah, you're scary.
I know.
But it was a lot to learn, and I had heard a lot about you from other people, and and then we met, and yeah, it's a small world, the number of people that we know, and just we've talked about just how God has moved the chessboard, and how we met is even incredible. It's like miraculous how we met, because if I didn't decide to go the direction I went in, and if you didn't stay where you were at, we never would have met.
No, and I think about that. One of the techniques I have actually used to help people in their businesses, as I've trained people in the water business and certainly just leadership training, is a timeline. And I have used that before. What did your timeline look last year? So they would go through and they'd say, well, my business was great because I did a vendor show, or my business was not so great because I lost one of my large reps, or whatever that looks like. And so the timeline piece, for the ladies who are watching with us, the timeline piece might be a good measure, I guess you would say, for what happened to those friendships back in grade school, high school, college days. For me, by the way, that was just a few short years ago. For you, maybe a little.
Yes, you're only 27. Yes.
Right, please keep that
younger than I am. Yeah.
Do that. But think about the people that we've met along the way and the differences they've made in our lives already. And I know you've quite a list of people in your lives that you're still friends with. And just like today, you were actually telling me about a lady that was on your heart that you haven't talked to in a while. I don't think
yes.
things are accidental.
No. And swinging back to the timeline piece, the one thing, and you kind of helped me, I teach on this a little bit. I don't use the verbiage of timeline, but when you look back at your experience with people that are in and out of your life, is what do you learn from them? What was the reason? I always like to look back to the reason, where I was at the time. They were the right person at the right time. And maybe we've grown apart or whatever, or maybe we're still friends. It looks different, and we can all say the same thing. We've got lots of people in the past that maybe we've outgrown or moved on, or they've outgrown and they've moved on. But it all, going back to, we are all interconnected. There's always a reason and a lesson on that timeline. Even whether it's good or bad, if you had a bad experience, there's still something to learn. So, and that's a big piece that I teach in my practice, is what can you learn from, we're talking about friends, but you can really apply that to anything.
Oh my gosh, that's for sure. You just mentioned that you teach this in your practice. You have done retreats before?
Yes, we've done wellness retreats, we call them, and it's basically educating people on the soul, body, spirit approach, which the body, or the human person, is made of those 3 major parts. They all interact together. And I teach, I'm heavy on the nutrition and natural medicine, but I also am heavy on where you're connected spiritually, because that makes a big difference in your purpose and your drive in life. And then the soul part, which is the mindset, your mind, how you think, that kind of thing.
Doesn't that make such a difference in everything?
Yes, totally.
Honestly, mindset is a beautiful word. Can you imagine, especially in this environment, this is 2020, hello, especially in this environment, what piece mindset plays?
Huge. It's huge. I
Yeah.
mean, and we've seen it, and I'm sure everybody that's watching has seen, we're all doing Zoom calls.
Praise
And
God for Zoom, right? Holy moly.
yes, yes, there is that connection, but the lack of contact with people, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, like you said in your book, as a matter of fact, we're just, the steroids, PQ, it makes a difference. Being under quarantine for months has psychologically affected people. And I've seen people that handled it well. I've seen people that haven't handled it well. And my curiosity is what makes those people tick on both sides of that fence.
What actually does make them tick? It's their faith, it's their journey, it's their health. What does make them tick?
I think for my foundational beliefs, I think it is the foundation. It can be a faith. Where is your faith? Of course, I'm going to speak from a Christian perspective because that's my faith, and that has pulled me through rough times and in the quarantine with 3, 4, 5 months. However, I've lost count.
I felt like it was Groundhog Day, and
Yeah,
I was going, oh my God.
I'm just like, is it April? Is it June?
What time is it? I don't know.
Yeah. But I think it's foundational. Is a big piece, and then from that point is what are you going to do with it? Because really, we don't have a choice on circumstances a majority of the time, but we're responsible for how we react or how we respond to something. And in my own experience, being boohoo, a whiner, or a victim of something, it doesn't get you far, and it makes you sick. I mean, eventually it'll make you sick. But yes, there's so many pieces into that. But for me, if you would whittle it down to foundational, it would be where is a person's foundation, and then they're choosing on whether to, get caught up in stuff or to keep moving forward.
Besides the dog spit and the tree bark that will be forever etched in my brain.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
I know.
Do you remember one of the very first things that you taught me?
Are we talking about the breathing?
Yes, ma'am. And
what did you learn, Miss Kathy? I'm sorry. What did you learn, Queenie?
yeah, well, let me tell you that this is really the deal. One of the first things, I think we were talking about a mutual friend that had angst, shall we say, during this environment. And so it was one of those things, all you need to do during times of anxiety to focus, to center, all that stuff is breathe. So I looked at you and I said, so Doc, I do breathe. And you, but it was an intentional breathing. And that's what you taught me with the 777 thing. And I cannot even emphasize enough how much that actually does help. You can breathe when you're sitting out in the sun and enjoying this incredibly glorious weather that we have. You can even breathe hello, cut in the grass. You can breathe intentionally when you're taking a walk. And I never realized the nervous system piece that you taught me is absolutely critical to maintaining a healthy mindset. I mean, it really does matter. It's so cool. Can you explain to the ladies a little bit about what I call intentional breathing?
Intentional breathing. Well, on a basic level, it's in this intentional breathing, you'll find it's basically the same practice that yoga does.
Okay.
Or the same practice that if you're a singer, it's breathing. You're saying the 777. It's inhaling for 7 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and then release it for 7 seconds. And on a basic level, what that does is it settles your nervous system down. It kind of resets everything. And I don't remember, honestly, Queenie, if I had told you at the time with the breathing piece, when I do it, I try to disconnect from whatever's got, if I get anxiety, or I call it stinking thinking, which would be negative thoughts or whatever, I try to disconnect from that as I'm breathing. And that might
Are
be
you talking about news media, maybe?
Perhaps.
Oh my gosh.
Perhaps, or whatever, the dog just chewed on something. Okay, I'm going to breathe so I don't kill the dog.
Very important, dear Bella. Yeah.
But it's, But it's simple. but it's, you know, as you found out, it's incredible what it can do when you're kind of hyped up or anxious or just even in a foul mood, it makes a difference. So that's it on a very simple level.
And it's back to that same thing for me. It has been communication. And I've been Zooming before it was cool because a lot of my coaching calls are not local. And so I started Zooming about 4 years ago. And thus my attempt at some of the skill level technology stuff. Oh my gosh. But it was about 4 years ago when I started doing this because I realized if a lot of my people aren't local anymore, communication is so big. And so by the time shutdown, lockdown, quarantine, whatever you call it, started happening, I was still able to keep track of and communicate with a lot of my ladies from all over the country. And I was so grateful for that because I could tell, even on some of our networking groups and different things, we were coaching calls even, I could tell that there was a little stuff going on as far as nervous. You can kind of tell in their eyes, they're a little bit like, yikes, what's going to happen? And maybe it's the fear piece too. And so I do think the soul, body, spirit that you teach is spectacular.
Well, in fear, you know, when things are unsettling and unpredictable, you know, it makes perfect sense. People would be fearful. But it's, you know, of course, as we all know, it's trying to disconnect from that and keep moving forward because you're not going to get anywhere when you're in fear. And actually, scientifically, it shuts down the front part of your brain. So you don't make real good, wise decisions when you're in a state of fear. So
How many parts do I have? I don't even know what's up here. Maybe mine's already used up. I don't know.
So, but yeah, it's been interesting. Of course, I'm trained to observe, and so you know, I'm going and on my own self too, because I have had some bumps and lumps as I call them, but it is difficult times, but it's wonderful to see people pull together, and it's wonderful to see all of the positive reinforcement on, you know, on social media of people just saying, hey, smile, I smiled today, the sun came out, or I'm thankful, or I posted this morning just a gratitude is you know, the basis or a foundation for success, and that's all that thought, how you think, you know, which affects everything. So
and this is a perfect segue into thanking everyone for joining us today. We're about midway through what we wanted to talk about as far as Girl Chat with a Faith Twist. And these are some of the things exactly that we're going to be talking about in the weeks, months, years, decades to come, as far as just exactly like Doc was saying, it's all about soul, body, spirit. It's all about mindset. It's all about your faith levels. It's all about communication with other people. And that is seriously a segue into what happened even during this environment. Kathy Weaver, Laura Christine, hello. Do you remember what happened back on March 24th? Because I do.
Well, let's see if I can do my timing here because I'm not so techie. You're a little better techie than I am. Wait, please hold. There we go. Actually, that was a week after the quarantine started.
Yes, ma'am.
And I ventured out into starting a podcast, which I call Mighty Morning Moment, and haven't turned back. It's been a thrill. I've designed it just for people, and FYI, it's just to make people think. They're 3 to 5 minutes long. A lot of it's common sense, but it's, you know, sometimes we hear it from somebody else. You know, one person who we're familiar with all the time, we might hear the same thing. But when you hear it from somebody else's mouth, you're like, oh, well, that makes it, you know, it's that kind of structure. So
why is that?
I don't know. I haven't figured
we
that
can
out.
say anything. And as soon as somebody else says it, it's like, really? Why is that? Yeah.
So yeah, Mighty Morning Moment kind of takes in the soul, body, spirit piece, and just I turn it on its edge, and I even say, you know, let's flip it on its side. Let's think of what about this? I throw out questions. Most of it is questions, but it gives you a good thought. So that's the intention of it. So I love it. It's been fun.
Well, you're incredibly modest because March 24th was your very first podcast. I am a groupie, Doc, in case you didn't know that.
No.
Yeah. And it's on Spotify. It's also on Anchor and a bunch of other stuff that I don't know how to work.
There's Yeah,
Spotify.
yeah. It's on Google. It's on a whole bunch of.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh wow, that must be. Yeah. Yeah.
and I have no idea how you do them, how you make them, how you anything, but it's such an impactful message. And as soon as you began your podcast during a time like this, as far as the environment, and all of a sudden you could see the growth of your podcast listeners, because once again, I think we all massively need each other. And I think it is one of those kind of things. First of all, as soon as you admit that, the vulnerability piece, the trust factor, all of that stuff, it's back to the same drill. We're all in this together, a zillion percent. And if you don't have a chance to look up every now and again, I can't imagine what life would be like. What was the inspiration for your podcast? What did you decide that podcast was going to be your vehicle?
Actually, and as you know, I listen to a lot of YouTubes, and there's a gal out there. Her name's Beth Moore, and she was preaching on being mighty women of God, and she just kept repeating it over and over and over again. And since the people that I've been networking with on the Zoom calls, as you know, I'm on vacation was my answer when everybody asked me.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember, I'm on vacation. There was a purpose. There was a technical purpose, I guess you could say, a learning curve on social media. And once I got started, it just snowballed because it actually, I still get squirmy when I hear myself talk, but it's been fun. And it actually caused me to think about things on a deeper level. And I know you and I, Queenie, have talked about, what is our purpose? What is our, how do we impact the world? What are our expectations? All of those kinds of things. And that started pouring into this podcast. And it actually bounced off to circle around to your question. I pick a word every year, and my word this year is impact. And this was an avenue to impact people through the podcast. And it's just one little avenue. There's others, but this one was a biggie for me.
That's a beautiful way to say that too. Again, for our people who are watching with us now, No Excuses Networking has been around for, actually, this is our basic third year. We have been 21 years, it feels like that, 21 weeks online as far as the Zoom, just to keep the tribe together. And one of the exercises that I help with at the first of the year, December-ish, January, right around there, is pick a word. Pick a word. What is this word going to do for you and actually permeate every thought process for this next year? Now, ironically, which I love that word, you chose impact. And look at the impact that you have had on the people you've been able to bless, not only in your business, your company, your friendship pieces, all the different places that you go, and how hugely your network has been affected. And my word for 2020, ironically, is expectation. And you look back and you think about those things. How do you think they got there? Hello. But how on earth would we pick words like that? And it turns out to be so incredibly impactful in this environment. It's amazing to me how he works.
Well, and you've said it too. I mean, even the word expectation for you, we expect things to happen, but we actually have no expectation because we're not in control of this. I'm in
control of absolutely nothing, by the way, in case you ever need to know that.
I've tried to get her to control things for me, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, good job.
But yeah, I mean, any of us who would have known, January 1st that, and I know there have been people out there that have picked words, but that how much, of an impact with expectation that this year would have been. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
The correlation, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I did.
The correlation between our two words is also the part, because we didn't pick them together.
No.
That's the part that I was just like, what is this about? And so obviously we realized that we serve a God, a mighty God, and it is super awesome to see how he continues to work in our lives. I am forever grateful that he has a sense of humor, because allowing us to meet was one of his ha 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 ha.
Yeah, let's see how this works out. Yeah.
think that was impactful, certainly for me, and it's been so much fun. I wanted to know, honestly, as far as the Mighty Morning Moment, the podcast, the YouTube channel that you have, et cetera, what is really the best way for our viewers to actually connect with you? In case there's a million Laura Christines out there, certainly a gazillion, trillion Kathy Weavers, how are they going to find you right now on social media?
Well, to find Laura Christine Beyond Basic Health, probably the fastest way is revdoc7.com. That feeds into all of it. So that feeds into the Mighty Morning Moment. You can watch my YouTube channel, which is revdoc7, and that's kind of the food gardening based type of YouTube. And you can tell I'm having fun with that. Because
and I was going to mention that too. You seriously, I don't know that our viewers understand your garden, my friend, is not just like somebody growing tomatoes in a pot. This is your backyard, and it's phenomenal to see this in person. I mean, seriously, and the fact that you're so nice to share your YouTube channel and actually show us what this stuff looks like. I garden at grocery store, in case you need to know that, but it's very amazing to see that it starts from a seed, it goes into the ground, you nurture it, you water it, you everything, it grows, and it turns out to be food, and that is just, your patience is phenomenal.
Well, thank you. No, I grew up gardening. My parents were big time gardeners, and so it's in my blood. It's in my blood.
It must be, because your garden
is
absolutely glorious.
It's a project. I'm a project person, so I've had a blast, and I forget, like you say, you don't garden. I sometimes forget, and you've reminded me, Queenie, about why don't you talk about that on your YouTube, because I think some of the basics, because I've been doing it for so long, that everybody knows what to do. And
no, we don't, FYI.
and that would be a good throw out to everybody in their business out there, of sometimes the things we take for granted that we think are simple, super simple, maybe there's somebody out there that hasn't heard of it, and it may be frivolous to you, but it might not be frivolous to them, so, and that's kind of my take on the whole beyond basic. I take people from basic, simple, to start with. You have to start somewhere. So yeah,
that's a wonderful way to say it also, because you do not, from what I have witnessed, you do not put lofty goals on people, certainly that are unattainable. You do literally the basics, and that is something I have been able to witness personally, and it's so awesome. I remember the breathing is impactful to me, of course, but another thing that you taught me in your garden, if you remember, you came to No Excuses one week, and you actually had garlic pods for everyone. And
yes.
You remember that? And you
Yes, I do.
a bag, and it had garlic pods in it, and you allowed each of us to take one. And I was absolutely salivating, because garlic is one of my favorite things in the world. And again, I get it at the store. But all of a sudden I was just like, oh my gosh. And even I use the cave room twice a year. This has been a little worse with the environment, but usually Thanksgiving and Christmas.
You're learning. We're getting you there.
Yes, I am learning. I appreciate your patience in that area. But all of a sudden I now have this gorgeous pod of garlic, and I love it. And so I literally roasted it in my Spanish Piqual olive oil, because I love that stuff polyphenol wise. I've learned a lot from you. And I'm literally roasting this garlic, and then it just squeezes out perfectly. And I literally just eat the garlic. It's fantastic. Now the house reeks, and so do I probably. But again, we're on Zoom, so who cares, right?
Yeah.
But it's so fun when you taught me that. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the other thing, I don't know if you remember this. This is going to be a little walk down memory lane for you, Doc.
Oh dear.
First things that you held up, and you were going to put on your YouTube channel, and you even put it on your Beyond Basic Health website as a blog post, that curly thing. Remember that?
Oh, the garlic scape thing.
There you go. And
Yes.
you literally said, what is this? And of course I'm going, green stuff? I have no idea. And I remember when you did that, because I went, oh my gosh. And the garlic scape, tell us about what that means, because I can't explain it well.
Well, for those of you that are unfamiliar, garlic looks like a grass, but it's in the onion family, and it shoots up this thing in the middle between the leaves that they call a garlic scape. And when the garlic scape curls, that's when you pick it. You cut it off, which basically gives the garlic plant more energy to make the garlic bulb bigger. And then you take that garlic scape, and it's just like a chive, but it's a little, wouldn't you say, Queenie? It's a little chew. It's not chewy. It's more dense. And you do have to saute it in order to kind of soften it up. But it tastes like a chive on garlic, like garlic steroids. Really, it's super
Yes.
garlic because of obviously it's from the garlic plant. So
It's
so
intense
yeah.
and it's fabulous. And again, with your expert tutelage, I chop those babies up, and I have a gazillion garlic scapes now. And I literally chop them up, and even everyone watching, even I can roast them. I literally saute them in a pan with other onions and mushrooms, and I don't do meat usually, but those are the kind of things I love so much, and that is fantastic. Whatever you're going to be cooking, carrots or whatever, just to have a little veggie plate kind of thing, and it's wonderful. The flavor is incredible, and it's easy even for me to do. So you have
Well,
so much.
Well, and kudos to you, Queenie, because you, since you are such a garlic aficionado, you have taught me a lot with, you're always sauteing onions and garlic and this and that, and you've had some really good dishes. Even though, guys, she stays out of the K room, haha. When she sets her mind to, especially her garlic and onions, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yes. I remember that one time I actually decided back, I wonder what this would taste like with lima beans. And really went, lima beans? And I said, I know, I was just trying to think.
Yeah.
I think you told me they're filled with something fabulous. I don't even know what the nice thing is about lima beans, but you told me, oh my gosh. And I sauteed all up my little conglomeration with lima beans. You
Yes.
tasted it and you didn't die. And that was so cool for me.
The lima beans are not favorite at the Christine house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's more so, and my husband just left the room, so I can say it. He had veg all growing up, and he just, the lima
Oh
beans.
my gosh. I remember that stuff. I remember that stuff. I thought you told me they were rich in something, iron or something.
I don't remember, to be honest, what I told you.
Whatever you told me, because I listened very well, I just don't retain much. As soon as you told me that, I thought lima beans, that might go with my garlic scapes and my onions and my mushrooms, and it was lovely. So
did you throw carrots in there too? I think you threw
yes.
carrots in also.
Yes.
I mean, it was unique combination, but awesome with the garlic and your polyphenol and your olive oil. But I likewise have learned a lot from you also, especially with water. Do you remember the first time, actually, I think I gave you some tomatoes from the garden, and you said to me, no, please don't get offended, but I want to just see how these test out, and you tested them out.
Oh my gosh, I actually
remember that?
Yeah. I actually had forgotten about that.
With the colored water and
yes.
Wow.
And for the viewers who are watching with us today, I have a Kangen water business, and Doc has been, since she gardens, obviously everything that she grows should be organic. And even so, there's free radicals out in the air, etc. And so sometimes just the yuck from the air gets on our produce, regardless of where it has come from. And so Doc brought the tomatoes over, certainly as a gift. Oh my gosh. I literally rinsed the tomatoes in our 11.5 strong alkaline water. And usually, even if you get organic from the store, there's this yellow, ooky, waxy, gross stuff that I don't know what it is. I'm sure I don't want to.
No, we don't want to know. Mm-mm.
I don't want to know what that is. And our water takes that off. And obviously you don't want chlorine on your produce. And so when we actually did that, it didn't change color. So your organic everything is really
great.
Amazing.
It's good to know.
Yeah. But the flavor was phenomenal. Not only to have homegrown tomatoes, but to have absolutely no ook on them was ook is a technical term. To have no ook on them was just amazing.
Ook, yes.
I remember that. Yeah, no, I cannot actually. But I forgot about that. Wow, that has been a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a year, but it feels like a long time, doesn't it? Forever.
This feels like forever. Holy moly. I really do So I love those things. And you took a picture today when you were gardening of your cherry tomatoes then that are actually yellow. Once again, I'm thinking that now they're going to turn red, and now you teach me that that's actually the type they are. So you still have a long way to go with me, Doc.
Well, I'll be patient. I'll be patient.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that a lot. Well, if it's okay with you, we have quite a list of things here that some of the ladies have actually already asked questions about. And I want to address all of these things, but I don't want to do it all in one day. I can't believe already how much time has gone by. 35 minutes, are you kidding me?
Wow.
So this is going to be apparently very quick faith girl chat with a faith twist. But honestly, please keep the questions coming.
Yes.
I'll address them, I promise. Most of you wanted to know, first of all, how Doc and Queenie met, how we came to be, and we've addressed several of those issues. But it really is one of those things when God places someone in your path, it's not accidental. Who's going to help who? Who's going to spread the word with whom? It's not accidental. And even though I'm very grateful that he has a sense of humor, and we are now supposedly, I know, seriously, we are now supposedly twins. Yeah, I look at those pictures from over the year, which again seems incredibly quick, but I think about the different things that the places that he has put us, etc., and the people whose paths have crossed ours already. Now that's really awesome to be able to have ministry pieces and things like that, and be able to pray with some of these girls has been super fun for me. And I know that that will continue as he continues to bless Doc and Queenie. So it's been super fun. One question that I do want to address, just for the sake of people who are curious, Doc obviously came from the fact that when you walked into No Excuses that day, we actually had 3 Lauras at the table. So it was Laura number 1, number 2, number 3, depending upon who arrived first. And affectionately, you became known as Doc because I was so intrigued by your naturopathic information and your skill level in that arena for natural health, because that's a biggie for me. And then why don't you tell the ladies how Queenie came to be?
Well, as I got to know you, and I'm trying to remember. Well, my husband's a comedian on the side. He does.
Yes, we know that's for sure.
He does a lot of improv and a lot of speaking, all that stuff. And our family is twisted is not the right. We've got a good sense of humor. We won't say.
Yes, you do actually. Yes, you do. You guys are.
And when I, introduced you to him, and he probably grilled you from what I remember. He came up with, "You're the water queen." And anytime I would talk to you on the phone, he would say the water queen. And then he said, "Well, why don't we call her Duchess?" And I remember saying that to you, like, that doesn't fit. It's kind of snooty, actually.
So, I don't want to be snooty, sister.
No. So he came up with Queenie. And so that stuck. And it's funny because sometimes I'm like, "What was your name again?"
Yeah, and that's just it. When I'm introducing you to other people, I go, "This is," yeah, and it goes kind of like that. So I know your name is Laura Christine, but to me, you'll always.
It sounds kind of weird.
I know. I can't even call you that. We did a 3-way call the other night with one of your friends, and I kept saying, "Doc will give you this, or Doc will give you that," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to call her Laura with a professional call."
So but I would also like to, I'm parroting what Queenie. See, I'm doing it. I was like, Queenie.
What's your name? I have no idea. Yeah.
The lady to my left. I just like to parrot back or reiterate, any questions that anybody out there has, feel free. We'd love to hear your questions or comments. It's all about connection. And yes, this is social media and we can't hear you, but it's still about connecting. And it's about lifting each other up and supporting each other. That's really what it's all about. And that's really what we do outside of our businesses. That's what we do. And that's what makes us tick. And I think that's the essence of Doc and Queenie, is we love people, we love life, and we want to help and support people and serve people. And anything we can do to help folks out there, just shoot us a question. We'd love to help.
No, I appreciate that so much, and that is so true. And I mean that with all my heart. This has been such fast time. We were trying so hard to stick to 30 minutes, but reputation predeceases us, as I call it. because our 30-minute calls never make it to 30 minutes. But we'd love to do a Zoom with anybody who wants to get to know us better. And certainly if you're able to be on our weekly high noon Doc and Queenie show, we would love to have that too. And do submit the questions either on the group page or either one of us individually, because this is what it's all about, is connecting and seeing what we can do actually to help each other. And again, think of this environment, Groundhog Day, whatever you call it, and to think we're in 5 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, I don't even know now, to be able to maintain our senses of humor in this environment has been pretty fabulous. And to bring other ladies along with us has been super cool.
Exactly. I'm still on vacation. It's the longest vacation I
You
ever
have
took.
sent us so much, and everybody goes, "Where have you been?" As you see from behind your gorgeous picture.
I'm floating in the middle of the ocean. I'm in denial, or no, I'm in the ocean. Yeah.
You're doing a great job being on vacation all this time, I will say that.
So, all right. Well, sounds good, Queenie.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And again, the YouTube channel RevDoc7. My YouTube is Kathy Weaver KC, and we are literally thrilled that you were able to join us today, either live or on the recording. And next Monday, what time, Doc?
High noon.
On Facebook Live, right here on the Doc and Queenie page. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.